and make-believers, in today's video I'm discussing series that I don't believe I'm going to finish. Well, some of them I'm sure I'm not going to finish, some of them I'm still in two minds, but chances are I'm not going to finish them. One series I don't believe I'm going to finish is the Fallen Kingdom series by Morgan Rhodes. I remember reading this book and feeling like parts of it were pretty interesting and captivating, but a lot of it I kind of just zoned out during. I wasn't that invested in what was happening in the story. I remember enjoying it, I remember liking it, but I also remember thinking a few weeks after I read it that I couldn't really remember it. And I felt like, okay, if I can't really remember the story, do I really want to go out and buy the next books? I mean, I love these covers, and the next one's called Rebel Spring, and then there's Gathering Darkness, and they look amazing as well. And I feel like the series does get a lot more epic, but I just feel like if I wasn't that invested in the first book, I don't know or believe that I'm going to continue. This is one, though, that I can't say I'm never going to finish reading, but I feel like I'm not going to finish reading it. Another series that I can quite confidently say I'm never going to finish is Antidark series by Kristen White. I've touched on this book before, but it's one that I never actually finished reading. I still have the bookmark in there, just in case I decide to go back and finish this book, but considering that I struggled to get through this book itself, I doubt I'm going to read the next books in the series. For this one, I kind of already touched on it in other videos, but basically my misunderstanding was that it was fantasy and it's not fantasy, and I think that when I went into it with completely different expectations because of what I assumed that it was, so I was let down and not as interested in it because it wasn't what I had wanted to read at the time. So to be fair to this book, I may enjoy it if I went back and finished it off, which I might do one day, which is why I left the bookmark in it, because now I know what to expect. But at the time, it wasn't what I wanted, so I didn't really enjoy it that much. I didn't finish it, and so I highly doubt that I'm ever going to finish this series. I'm quite disappointed in this next series that I probably won't finish, but that is the 10,000 Skies Above You series, or I believe it's called the Firebird series. This is by Claudia Gray, and I remember really enjoying this book, which is the first book in the series. I thought it was so interesting, so unique, and I really liked the story and where it was going. Unfortunately, I recently finished the second book in the series, 10,000 Skies Above You, and I found that I didn't enjoy it as much as the first one. I felt that the main character kind of changed, and she became a little bit more whiny and a little bit more selfish, and just not the character that she started out as. So I didn't like her as much, so I didn't connect with her as much, so I don't know if I'm actually going to read the third one in this series, which is a bit disappointing because I was so excited when I read this one that I actually went out and got the next two in this. So I actually have the complete series on my shelf right now. This is one that I think I won't finish, but again, I've got the book already, but I just think with all the books that are out there to read, I probably will never get to this one. Another series that I'm pretty sure I'm not going to finish is the Outlander series. Now, with this, I guess in a way you can read Outlander as a standalone book, but however, there is like 8 books in this series, I believe, maybe 9, I'm not sure, but I know that the next one is called Dragonfly and Amber, and you know, it continues Claire and Jamie's story, which I'm actually very interested in, but I did touch on it in my previous video, in my Outlander discussion. There were some scenes that I didn't necessarily like in Outlander. I saw a video the other day of Dragonfly and Amber, like a review on that, and the person in that video had a lot of the same issues that I had with Outlander. And they say that it continues in the Dragonfly and Amber book, so I imagine it continues throughout the series. And it's basically things that the show has cut out. I started watching the show recently and I absolutely love the show. The show is like a 10 out of 5 stars for me. I love it. But that's because they've taken out a lot of problematic scenes, because I guess they figured that quite a few people would have a problem with those scenes. So I don't believe I'm going to continue reading the books, but I'm definitely going to find out what continues to happen in Jamie and Claire's love story, because I'm going to continue watching this incredible series. Crown's Game by Evelyn Skye is another one that I'm not entirely sure I'm going to finish. It's kind of like the Fallen Kingdom series, where I can't say I didn't like it because I did enjoy lots of it, but I found my mind drifting and wandering off to other places whilst reading it, and I remember that a few weeks after I read it, again, I just couldn't really remember the story or like care that much about what happens next. Again, the covers are fantastic, the next books in the series look so good, so I might get to it one day, but it's definitely not high on my to-read list, and I'm not sure if I'm ever actually going to get to it. And the 6th and final series that I'm definitely not going to finish is the Heart of the Mirage series. I no longer have these books because I borrowed them from my friends, but basically I read the first book and I really liked it, and then I went into the second book, and the second book took place like years later, and a lot of the characters that I had grown to love and care about in the first book were not in it, and a lot of new characters were in it that I didn't care about. So I was kind of like, what's happening? And it was very slow paced, and I just wasn't connected to it anymore. And then apparently the third book kind of ties everybody back together, but the second book was just dragging so much and just took space over such a large span of time. And yeah, like I said, I didn't care about the new characters, and I kind of just wanted to find out what happened to the old characters. So I just lost complete interest in that series, so I will never be finishing the Heart of the Mirage series either. But like I said, some of them I may get to eventually if my reading speed picks up by like a lot. I may eventually get to them, like Fallen Kingdoms and Crown's Game and A Million Worlds with You, but at the moment I don't believe I'm ever going to get on with the rest of those series just because they did not grip me from the beginning or because I lost interest along the way. If you've read any of these series and you think I'm a lunatic for not continuing with them, then please comment below telling me that they get better. Also, let me know what series that you have started that you don't believe that you are going to finish and why. And that is all. Until next time, I'll see you. Bye!